Okay, I think we're live.
We're live.
I mean, I'm more live than you. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm more live than dead, so I'll take that.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I want to remind people next week that my guest on Tequila Time will be Parimal. Parimal is going to show some of his best photos from India.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. I want to show you kind of my hometown in India, some places that are off the beaten path, if you will. It'll be fun.
Okay, and on Saturday we have another Earth is Our Witness. Who are we talking to on Saturday?
Saturday at 10 a.m. is Chris Fallows from South Africa. He's going to talk about ocean in the air. Well, it's going to be interesting. Some beautiful shark photos, like great white shark breaching. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. And he, is BBC wildlife photographer, had worked on planet Earth. So you're going to see some of those shots. It's called Ocean in the Air because it's literally ocean animals coming up in the air, like the great white. That's going to be interesting. And then we just had Patricio Robus Gilts right now, that if people haven't checked it out, please do check it out. It was really interesting. Extinction Rituals episode 1 was really powerful, I felt.
Excellent. Yeah. Patricio is a fine artist and really a passionate person.
Yes. How has your week been going, Art?
So I sat down with Libby this week and we laid out the next 2.5, 3 months of workshops that we're about to announce on our website, and some new destinations, including the Redwoods of Northern California. We're going to go back to Bandon. We'll be up the Columbia Gorge. We're going to be up at Port Townsend for Abstract Port Townsend, Washington. Great, great, great location we discovered late last year. And we're being very COVID compliant. And of course, as the spring comes on, most of our participants are either going to be vaccinated or we're going to require proof of vaccination within 72 hours of our workshop so that every participant can feel comfortable and safe. We are contacting restaurants in each location to ensure that we can be isolated from the rest of the people. And we're just going to get back on the horse and have a great time learning and having fun, and people can see me drink tequila straight away, which is always a plus.
Which is always a plus. I think that's the highlight of your workshop, is seeing you drink tequila.
Yeah, because I'm so uptight here. You know, I'm very uptight. I'm very guarded in what I say to you and everybody else. Now the handcuffs come off. If you see me in a restaurant, I may even talk about politics if I had enough tequila.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. I had a question, Art, on, sounds like people are getting more comfortable now with vaccines on the horizon. Some people are even getting vaccines depending on age groups and things like that. And I feel in the last few months, people have sort of gotten used to working with the environment we are in while taking all the safety precautions. Sounds like that's what's happening with your workshops. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I just see it everywhere that people are very anxious to resume what they feel comfortable. And, you know, we all want to get back to resembling our lives prior to the virus coming onto our shores. And I now know that people are contacting us. They want to know where we're going and what we're doing. And, you know, people are being vaccinated. And if people choose not to be vaccinated, again, will require a test that proves that they're COVID-free, just as I had to do when I headed off to Kenya. And speaking of which, remember last week I showed you some photos from my Kenya safari. Mm-hmm. I'm about to show you the rest of that shoot.
And that was big cats, right? You're going to talk about big cats today, or at least some cats?
Well, at least some big cats and maybe one little one.
Okay. I like cats. I'm ready.
All right. So I'm going to share the screen. And here we go. And I hit play. I'm actually getting used to doing this now.
You're getting a pro. I'm worried now.
Well, wait. No, I'm not quite the pro because I'm hitting play. And that's where Kyle comes over. Wait for it.
By clicking the play button. Yeah, the small button just to annoy you.
Okay, so tequila time on Safari 2. And speaking of small cats,
Oh,
and Kyle, does this come across on everybody's screen? Are you
yeah,
seeing this
I
back?
can see it.
All right. I think we're good. Okay.
I can see it.
So, I've said it several times over the last couple of months that I've got a book coming out. I think it will be in October called Night on Earth.
Mhm.
And it is in the final stages of design, but until they say no more photos, I'm still getting photos in. And so whenever I can shoot at night and find animals, of course, I've got urban culture and a rural culture, and I've got starry skies and all of that. But to get wild animals at night is a little more tricky. And I went out with spotlights looking for cats, and with their eye shine, it's a lot easier to find these little cats out there in the wilds of Africa. And this is a serval cat, which
Mm.
is maybe twice the size of a house cat with very long legs. And you see how those eyes really shine out. And so you never know what the behavior of the individual cat's going to be. And so as we kind of got closer and closer, the beauty of this cat really comes out.
Mm.
And what was so unique about this cat, and you can see that notch in its ear, it was very comfortable with us, even though we were in an area where there's very few tourists. The cat was processing who we are. We're in a vehicle, we're shining it. Then it started hunting, and it was pretty cool to watch it hunt at night.
Wow.
Those big ears can identify, just like an owl, they can hear the mice running through the grass. And after this initial get together, it started hunting, and it allowed us to slowly follow in our vehicle as it was hunting in the grasses of Africa.
Mm. It's beautiful ears and his eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I love cats. Everybody loves cats. And the eye connection is undeniable. And then we went out to that same territory early in the morning. And I said to our driver, it's very unlikely that we're going to find that cat in this vast, vast area. And there, as I'm saying it, out pops this cat on the road. And I thought, all right, now we don't even have that nighttime shots. I can use these photos for perhaps Wild, which is a book that now has been delayed to 2023, simply because I've not been able to get out and shoot this year as much as I wanted. And lo and behold, this cat starts walking down the road right up to us. Beautiful cat. And you can see it's just got these very long legs,
Yeah.
which helps it get through the tall grass. So it's watching us, and then it pops off the road, starts hunting. And again, just like the previous night, we're able to follow it and photograph it. And this is pre-dawn, and not pre-dawn, but pre-direct sun. So in the soft light of early morning, I love this shot. And look at that little tail curled up.
Mm.
And that eye contact is so critical for me. It's like photographing owls. You just want the eyes and that connection with the viewer.
It's beautiful.
And then later the sun came up, and we got great shots as well. So
Whoa.
prior to that cat, though, these cheetahs were out moving around in very, very low light, just barely photographable. And they're sniffing at the base of a tree, the markings of other cheetahs that might have passed by. So they're communicating. That previous cheetah that might have gone through lifted its leg and peed on that tree. They're smelling that and connecting with whatever cat they may not have seen. And so that was good behavior. And of course, one of these photos, though it's not technically crisp like noonday light, it is very valuable to have for Night on Earth.
This must be really, really high ISO. I guess it was like pitch dark or almost pitch dark.
Yeah, it was ISO 12,500.
Wow.
And it was on the new Canon mirrorless R5 camera. And so, you're shooting ISO of 12,500. I'm hand holding the camera and using the best of what I could use with the Canon technology. And I got the shot. So I'm very pleased with that. But it was very, very dark. And we're using a little bit of light to illuminate the front of these cats because the light was coming up in the distance, but it was really, really, really dark. So yeah, cheetahs are great subjects. And even though this area, again, is in the Chulu Hills National Park down by Mount Kilimanjaro, there's only one lodge on this vast, vast property and only a couple of cars that go out. And so these animals are not really habituated that much to cars and tourists, but they allow us, and I'm using a 1:400 or a 1:500 lens so I can bring them in. And as the light came on, we followed them as they're hunting. This is a different set of cats. This is in a different location. And look at those teeth.
Yeah.
You know, I've been at a fellow photographer's place several years ago up by Mount Kenya, and he had a pet full-grown cheetah. And the cheetah would come and bury its head into your lap, and the whiskers on those cats were like needles that would penetrate the fabric of my pants. And it was like, you know, you just kind of want to gently push the cheetah's head out of your lap.
Wow.
But look at that tongue. It's got those really coarse textures on the tongue.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the image that I was talking about. The cat on the left, I think it's your left, the yawning cat is the brother of the female. And it's very unusual that siblings into adulthood would be still a unit to go out hunting, because that male was separate from the female for several years, so I'm told. And then the female had 3 cubs, and then he came back and he's hunting with her. So it's kind of like an unusual situation. And now he's licking some private parts. And the reason is because he can. Oh my God.
Hey, Art, we have no nudity on social media, man. Just saying.
Okay. Well, I get choked up when I think about that. So yeah, I love these cats. Look at, they look so skeptical. You know, they're watching us. They were laying down. We came in, and all of this, of course, are being photographed from a vehicle in the field. And now they're waking up after they've been sleeping for a long time. And look at their body language. You know, they're stretching just like we wake up in the morning and you're stretching your legs and all of that. Obviously dogs are doing that and cats are. And all these cats are just nothing but sinew and muscle.
Yeah,
So,
just so how long they are. Right?
Well, in this particular female, as she's moving off to the right, had an inordinately large chest. And what that meant then is when it started chasing a Grant's gazelle, it chased it for 3/4 of a mile, long beyond where we could see. And we finally caught up with her. But she was, you know, most cheetahs are good at short bursts because they're so fast. But this one had the capacity in the chest structure that it could just run down the animals, because it started running at animals from a very long way away, and she caught up and caught.
Amazing.
So as everybody's waking up, they're, you know, marking their territory, they're sniffing around, they're just being cheetahs.
I love this image, you know, the layers of the cheetahs, and then you have layers of the trees. It's such a beautiful image.
Thank you. And, you know, perfect light. It's perfect light. And again, we were in Kenya at a time that most travelers are not traveling yet. So we'd spend the whole day in this Mara Conservancy and not see a single other vehicle. And again, that was what was really interesting as well.
It's beautiful.
And we drove ahead because we saw this termite mound long before the cats got there. And we got up to the termite mound, turned off the engine, and just waited. And sure enough, the mother goes right up on top, better viewing. And then look at her 3 cubs. Look at their positioning. They're all looking different directions.
Yeah, it's just so amazing that instinctively they know how to orient to maximize survival.
Yeah, absolutely. And here she's taken off. And again, look at that, the chest. It's so much larger than I think the cheetahs I'm about to show you. These are 2 males hunting together, 2 brothers, but they were very different cats. And look at their expressions, and their faces are very, very different, but they're almost identical. They look like, you know, pouting males here.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're moving on to other cats. And we encountered early in the morning this huge pride of lions. There was about 19 of them, and most of them were sub-adults or just barely adults. And they were all moving through this area. And our Masai driver said he's familiar with this pride, that there was a female with 2 cubs hidden in the bush, and we were unlikely to see them because they haven't seen the mother with those cubs out in public yet. And no sooner had he said that, as this pride of lions were passing us, than she pops out with her 2 cubs. Wow. And so the cubs instantly ran over to maybe an aunt or an uncle, and they started playing with it, but the mother was having nothing to do with that, because those tiny cubs are really vulnerable to the rough housing of these larger cats. And so the mother came over and swatted one of these, and then she went and swatted the other ones. Well, the little cubs are kind of running around, and she finally got fed up with that, and she just picked up one of the cubs and off she went.
Can you go back? There was something interesting. Look at the other lion at the back, or maybe probably young. The way he's looking, like what's going on there between you two?
Yeah, well, that was one. That is the one that's sitting there with the baby on its tail. And it was just a couple of clicks later that she came running out of nowhere and swatted the other one, and he's just waiting for his turn to get swatted. And so after all of this, she went and kind of chased off several of the sub-adults. She picked up the baby and headed out, and we were able to constantly get ahead of her. And she literally would carry that baby straight up to us, walk around our vehicle, and keep going up this road. And we kept relocating the car. So I got probably 30 shots of her walking up the road. And I love this one where she's looking straight into our camera.
This is beautiful. Looking straight at the camera with confidence, almost saying, "Get out of my way, I'm coming."
Exactly. So, you know, the lions
don't
have spots. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
If you go back, the little cub, I love the confidence in its gait, the little cub, because it's with mama.
Yeah, it's got mama. And they're, you know, it was a wet night the night before, and they're covered in mud, but that gives grit. They're not like zoo animals. These are animals that are out in the rain and the mud and all that. And so I think it gives it a nice sense of authenticity.
Beautiful image.
Thank you. And, you know, the lions don't have spots and markings like the other great cats, but they have a lot of behavior. And, you know, this female wanted to mate with that male. And it's not a full grown male lion, you know, giant male lion, but it was old enough to mate. You can see a cloud of flies around it, and they started mating. And all of this kind of behavior is good for the camera and for perhaps wild as a book. But again, the light, we get up early prior to sunrise, have coffee and cookies and go out, and we'll drive around for several hours. And then as the light gets higher and higher, we might have a bush breakfast. But I love that kind of behavior in this low light. And then suddenly, you know, they're getting into it, the intensity, and then suddenly something interrupts the whole moment. And what do you think that might have been? Another vehicle with tourists?
Probably.
Okay, that's a good answer. So this elephant suddenly walks straight up to them as they're trying to mate, and it drove the lions back into the bush. So I love this shot because it's the moment that they are running from the elephant's sharp. It's just beautiful light. And so this is one of those moments. I love that.
I got to say, it must be a very tough decision for the male lion. It's like, what do I do? I mean, I'm in the heat of the moment, and here's this thing like, to have to attack me now, for God's sake, right?
You know, Parimal, you're saying that with like knowledge and maybe history.
What I was going to try to say is I feel the lion is very lucky. He's just chilling, and the lioness wants to approach the lion. I've been waiting, man. Nobody's approached me. Okay, back to you, Arj.
All right. So this is a group of impala that were intently watching another pride of lion. And look at this male, or this, no, that's a female, of course. God, I feel stupid. It could be a young male. It could be a young male, but obviously the eyes, he's got a blind eye. I think it's a blind eye or a
Yeah.
cataract. I don't quite know, but that was distinctive.
Mm.
And it was a small pride. And, you know, they looked at the impalas, and impalas were well aware that they were there. And so there was no chase. And then yet another pride of lions. This was a character. That little baby is a character. It was a single baby, and that's the mother. And it just was interacting with the mother again, late in the day, even light, pushing the ability to stop the action. For every sharp shot I got, I probably got 10 that were slightly out of focus because of the lateness of the light. But, you know, this baby just wanted to be, you know, adored by mother. And I just love that kind of interaction that you
Yeah.
get.
It's very cute.
But it was part of a pride where there was a couple of other mothers that had much older cubs. And so this was the runt and the only one for this first time mother. And you can just see how it's, you know, affectionate with that baby, and that baby is just soaking up. And the other cubs of the other mothers were bigger and playing out in the grass. And you can just see that paw. You know, they're small, but look at the size of those paws.
Yeah. I mean, for the size of the cub, the paws are big.
Yeah. And so they're playing, they're biting each other, and you'd think that little tiny cub would stay with the mother. No, it came running in, flying through the air, and trying to interact with these bigger cubs.
Wow.
And so that little guy was just full of energy. Look at it. He's biting the tail.
Yeah.
He wants to play with these much bigger lions. And I think it belies the fact that lions are part of a pride, and the strength of the pride is how all members of the pride work together, hunt together, protect each other, and starts at a younger age. These bigger cats are very, very nice to the little guy who's just full of vinegar. Now I'm going to end with this group of Masai. Our driver, as I said, was Masai, and there's a celebration, a ceremony that occurs like every 10 years. And I've been trying to photograph it for a number of years for Faith, the book that will come out. And I just casually asked our driver, when was the last Enoto? Thinking he was going to say, you know, 4 years ago. And he said, well, one's beginning right now.
Wow.
And I said, where is it? And he said, it's about an hour drive. So I said to my 2 other companions, we're going there tomorrow. So we went there early in the day. It was bright sunshine, very contrasty. And I talked with the chief, and I said, we would like to come back later in the day as the clouds build up and photograph the members of the Enoto. And, you know, there was several hundred in the area. Later, about now, second week in February, there could be as many as 10,000 people together. So yeah, I made do with what we got. We arrived, and the clouds came in midday because there's so much rain that the heat of the day builds up these big cumulus clouds. And as we arrived, they were dancing around, not for us, but for themselves. And they put red ochre in their hair. And that comes from a mineral of the soil, of course. And they're so beautifully dressed. And then I brought them all together in front of my vehicle and got up on top of the vehicle. And what I wanted to do was to photograph their heads, but also shoot some candid shots. So they were, in this moment, they were watching somebody else talk, and I got the shot, but it was from behind that I was really happy with.
Oh, this is beautiful.
By zooming in, you create the illusion that there could be 10,000 of them. By not defining the very edge or margins of the group, you create illusions, which is exactly what I was doing with the book Migrations.
This is a beautiful image art. I'll tell you what I also like about this is it's almost a metaphor. The heads are all similar, you know, with a similar color palette. And what differentiates one from the other, brings the uniqueness, is the different costumes and the colors. It's just contrast.
Yeah, you know, they really are attracted to orange and red. And so much so that historically, when I would be working in Masai country, if you saw a pride of lions and you were photographing it, the lions would kind of ignore you in your vehicle. But if a Masai was walking, a quarter of a mile away on the horizon, but wearing red, the cat would get up and move into the bushes. So the lions really equated the color red with danger, because Masai would protect their cows by spearing lions, and the lions would go after the cows. So there was this adversarial relationship between the two. And now we're photographing lions on Masai land, and it's part of conservancy. So the Masai see the benefit of having lodges, rent the property, and they can graze their cattle inside of lions. And now there's no angst between the two. And if a lion would take a cow, then the conservancy pays for the cow. And so it's a great relationship moving forward, and more conservancies are being developed in East Africa, providing a lot more land for truly wild animals as well. So it's a great model. And so that was shot with a telephoto, and my last shot was with a wide angle. And serendipitously, this one gentleman turned around and looked back at me, and I kind of like that moment.
Yeah, I do like that. It's like a connection right there, and it's very spontaneous.
So that's my second half. I was only in the field for about 6 days. So you saw last week elephants and hyenas and landscapes with the Mount Kilimanjaro, and this week it was Masai and cats, but fairly productive in a very short time. But more importantly, it was so nice to be out in the field, being reminded of what I do, because I wasn't watching the inauguration. I wasn't worrying about COVID every second. I was just out taking pictures, and that's what we want to provide for the participants that join us in some of our workshops.
It's wonderful. I do have a couple of comments and questions. I know we are almost at time.
Yep.
Feel free to close so we can see your full screen.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I got to say, remind everyone, Art, if you remember, we started Tequila Time April, May, not quite 1 year, about 9 months back or so. And I remember distinctly in one of the episodes you said, if you want to be an artist, live like an artist. To be an artist, live like an artist. And it's always remained with me. It's a great thought. And it's really inspiring to see you practice that. Clearly, you're not wasting time watching a lot of TV, but you're out and about to the extent you can while still being safe. That's remarkable. And the second comment I want to make is it's a pattern I've seen. And this also happened when we spoke to Simon Benny on Earth as a Witness last week, is that, and I've been witness to this too, is when I've traveled with you in Hawaii, is that two photographers can go to the same location, have the same expensive gear, but yet you have such amazing body of work from the same shoot in the same amount of time. And that's just amazing. And as you just said that it's a short trip, but very productive trip. And that's not just being productive, that's again, your talent and artistry. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. All right, well, next week we get to look at some of your artistry, and I know it, and I'm proud of it, and I want to share it with other people. So can't wait next week. And prior to that, Saturday, we're going to watch the flying great white sharks. Pretty thrilling, amazing images. I met this gentleman, by the way, up in the Himalayas when we were looking for snow leopards.
Wow.
And his work is excellent. So
yeah, that's going to be 10 a.m. Saturday morning. And everyone, please look at Art's website for all the upcoming tours done in a very safe and fun and tequila-centric way. So thank you, everyone.
See you guys. Thank you for joining us.